All right, what up, guys? Welcome to my coffee talks. Today, I'm going to keep going and talk about my bad takes because I think there's nothing like life humbling you a little bit. And sometimes I watch some of my old content and there was stuff I really did believe at the time and think was true. And now the same stats I wouldn't really quote anymore. And I want to go through my thought process. So, one of the stats I used to say a lot was that married men are happier, women are happier when they're married. And the older I got, the more like rose colored glasses fell off on like couples you kind of thought at a glance were happy. But when you get red pilled, you realize she just henpecks him and he just is miserable. And you start to realize that the sexes don't really like each other as much as we previously thought. The women, it's like we love men, we love their attention, we love, their time, they entertain us, but I don't think we actually love them because of obviously the way we treat them in the world. And if I'm being honest, most women, I would say they get value from being married. Like their husbands help sort their life out a little bit. Their husbands are nice, their husbands do things for them. But in terms of like the man making them happy, from what I've seen, it's the person has to be able to make themselves happy. And if you make your happiness someone else's problem, that's almost like a terrible way to live because you don't know where life's going to take you. Like I know a man, he had one kid and he had a wife and they both ended up passing away. But, he's from my hometown and it was a really sad situation, but he was still a happy guy. He was a happy guy before, he was a happy guy after. And the other thing I realized is that people don't like grumpy people. So the people that are going to be selected for marriage aren't going to be, in general, the grumpy Debbie Downers, But for some reason, we just attribute it all to marriage. And it's almost putting marriage on a pedestal of like something that it can't live up to. Like it gives people false expectations. Like if they get married, they're all of a sudden going to be a different person. Like if they're an unhappy person, they cross, they take the vows and now they're a happy person. And that's just not what I've seen. What I have seen is that grumpy people don't get selected because who wants a Debbie Downer? Nobody, right? The other thing I've noticed is that I don't see women being able to answer their happiness question honestly. Because our incentives are just too much for attention. And not only do people lie to each other, they also lie to themselves. And there's a lot of women that check happily married, but they nag their husbands, they henpeck their husbands, they don't listen to their husbands. They're just not nice people. And so it doesn't shock me. It doesn't shock me that women would select that. And even if we select it the other way, women love being victims, not all, for attention. So in general, I don't like putting happiness as a metric for measuring anything. Because there's people, it's like happy to who, right? There's somebody very grumpy I'm thinking of. And on this person's happiest day, it's like my unhappiest day, right? I'm just kind of an upbeat person. And not always, right? I can also be a bitch, as you guys probably have seen. But you guys see what I'm saying. And what I realized is the happiness metric is always used by people trying to sell you something. So it's a little bit embarrassing that I always used to quote that. Because when you think about it, it's always people trying to either sell you their religion, sell you their way of life. It's all of them trying to sell you something. And a lot of them say that because it's almost like using their relationship for clout. And that's the next thing that I've learned over the years is I have not found a traditional woman under 25, or sorry, under 40 that acts traditionally without using the relationship to build her brand. And that's kind of what you see on TikTok. And she's nice enough, but the Savannah girl, I forgot her name, but she's always got her boobs out in a sundress. Like, what are you doing? Posting her recipes. And I almost think the worst relationships come from that, having to like maintain an image. And I've been in a public relationship before, like kind of years ago. I don't like talking about it too much because I never want to, I never want to bring up personal, whatever. But I'll say this about it. I remember the pressure of having to maintain that image. And it was just awful. It was like, you're afraid they're going to embarrass you. They're afraid you're going to embarrass. And it's like a lack of almost like freedom in a way. And you include people's opinions who don't really like matter, if that makes sense. But I think that's one stat that I wouldn't say the same way. The next one I realized was the body count stat, was that women that sleep with more people are more likely to divorce. Now, while I do believe that's true, the older I've gotten, the more I realize that it's not as black and white as you think. And most of the biggest hoes at my college are married. Now, they probably won't stay married, to be fair. But a lot of them probably got through the door faster than pure prudes. And I'm just being honest about what I saw. I mean, a bunch of them have kids, and then they were doing a bunch of stuff in school. So anyways, I think it's tough to conclude anything from the body count stats because women just lie about their body counts. You just never even know what it is. And even if they have a low one, they just have these workarounds like backdoor, oral, like whatever, and they don't count it. And I don't want you guys to misunderstand me. I don't think that's good. I do think it makes a difference, but it's tough to say how much of one because I've also seen virgins crash out and go crazy. But anyways, guys, I hope you're having a good day. Enjoy the decline. And maybe I'll continue the series of the takes that I would maybe change or I see a little bit differently now. So anyways, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.